What does next week's midterm elections mean for the stock market?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. Let's go. I have a chart here we can share. I think it's quite interesting. Okay, so here is a chart that goes back from 1962 to the last midterm, which is 2018. And that dark, I guess, blue, almost purple, black line is the average rate of return on the market, the S&P 500, over those midterm years. The lighter blue line is this year. So kind of interesting, actually. There's a fairly strong correlation between what's happened so far this year and what's happened on the average year of a midterm. But look what happens once the midterm kicks in. You get a really big run up, right? And so why is that, right? Normally what happens in a midterm year is that whatever party might be in control, which right now is the Democrats, they have the House, the Senate, and the White House, one of those pieces turns to the other party, right? Right now, via the polls, maybe it's the House. Who knows what's going to really happen? We'll find out, after next Tuesday, hopefully. But nonetheless, what is happening is that then things don't get done. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but so whatever that one party has when they have full control, they might be able to pass more regulations, change taxes more, do things that, make change. Now, as a business, let's say, you're Apple and you're doing your planning on the next version of whatever it is and it's years away, you'd like to have less change. Because in an environment where there's a lot of change, it's very difficult to decide how much money to invest in these different projects. Where you have less change, you can maybe be more confident and invest more money in those different projects. And so one of the weird things about a midterm election is that it generally creates a bifurcated White House Congress scenario, which creates less happening in terms of bills and regulations that might get passed, tax changes that might get passed. There could be different things that could happen, and we'll see what happens. But BlackRock, which is the biggest money manager in the world, with the iShares and these different things, has come out and said that they don't feel we're going to have this pattern this year. Because what's different this year versus the 1962 through 2018 is the combination of the war in Ukraine, the inflation rate, and the pandemic, which is shutting things down in China. And they feel that those overwhelm the advantages that the market might see in a bifurcated Congress. So this is going to be very interesting to see what happens. But you can see that there is a very strong seasonal play to the upside that's coming at us starting next week. And so, our position right now is to be out of the market except for these inverse positions. Obviously, if the market moves this way, that hard going upward, that's going to be tough on our portfolios. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know if we'll have the run up, but maybe we go sideways more than we would have just because we have that seasonal to the upside, and then we have the Federal Reserve and inflation going the opposite direction, pushing to the downside. Maybe those opposing forces are fairly equal. BlackRock thinks they won't be equal. They feel like the Federal Reserve motion and what's happening with interest rates is more powerful than the advantages of a bifurcated Congress. So really fascinating. It's a really good question, to see how that works out as far as that goes. Got a lot of other things. What happens with the debt ceiling? Is there a big argument over that? Does that create problems for the stock market? What happens with the actual election? Is there a lot of contested elections? What does the market do with that? Those types of things. So next week we're going to find out, where these things are going. So.
Yeah, on average, 1 year after the election or the midterm elections, you usually get 14.8% return. So It's a very strong trend.
It is. It's a very strong seasonal trend, and there aren't a lot of really good things you can point to that have a good trend. A lot of things are really messy. The midterm election trend has been quite strong, so it's something to be aware of going forward here.